one of the questions I had of the prior panel dealt with FAA. Were there any restrictions for local entities to provide ordinances prohibiting the flying of drones in that space?
So as we've been discussing,
Can't hear you, sir.
as we've been
Just move it up closer.
okay, sorry. As we've been discussing, the whole intent of the pilot project is to establish those lines of community involvement in their time, use, and manner restrictions that make sense for localities, many of which they have today and they use today. You know, we're in charge of the navigable airspace, so we're in charge of aircraft and taking off and landing. And of course, as Administrator Huerta has said many times, what drones in effect do is make every rooftop, every backyard, you know, every corner a potential airport, a potential takeoff and landing spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to work out where the local interests and the FAA's navigable airspace interests come together.
Excuse me, but in Southern California, that's going to be very hard because you have airports right in the middle of communities. Mm-hmm. And as I was explaining in the ports, there's beaches that are adjacent to the water ports. And so it's going to be hard to determine exactly where the line can be drawn.
Right. Yeah, and as I said, in the pilot project, we're hoping and looking for communities to present to us where locally.
Have you asked them yet?
Yes, that is
okay.
It's in the SIR and it's online and all of the requirements of the pilot project and what we're asking.
Okay, sir. The FAA was prepared to propose new regulations for unmanned aircraft operations over people in January, but pulled back the last minute due to national security concerns. Since then, there has been an informal hold on all UAS rulemakings. In the meantime, other countries are moving aggressively and ambitiously towards the regulations to attract investment in the technology. Have the law enforcement and national security communities communicated to FAA or to the industry? Or what will it take for the agency to lift the hold?
So we are on constant communication with our government colleagues in the national security area. In fact, I think, Earl, we had a number of representatives from law enforcement on the ID ARC discussing exactly—
Federal and local?
Federal, and we had local representation, talking about what they would need for that comfort level that they didn't have when we were getting ready to do the over people rule last year. So yes, we're in consultations and we're finding out what we need to do to give them comfort in
and how long will it take to process that to go into rulemaking?
That's a hard prediction to make because of the intergovernmental review process, but our hope is to get it done with efficiently and as quickly as possible.
Okay. The rulemaking on small UAS has made tremendous strides toward the safe integration of commercial drones into the national airspace. However, commercial drones cannot operate beyond the operator's visual line of sight or over people unless permitted by FAA, like commercial delivery. You have issued more than 1,000 waivers. Can you please explain what the criteria of FAA is?
So that question is the man who has done that 1,000 waivers.
All yours.
The best to answer that question, Earl.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wellwell. Most of the criteria that we outline in the waivers that we try to be performance-based, and when we issued the final rule for Part 107, the small UAS rule, we included in its preamble information of what were the safety issues that an individual would have to address when they applied for a waiver. When we receive waiver applications, we look for that information because they need to address the safety of the operation that they are conducting. And obviously, every operation is different. An operation rural would have a different set of safety risks versus in a city. In addition, we worked very closely and collaboratively with our industry partners. I've personally conducted multiple webinars with AUVSI and educating applicants of this is the type of information that they should be bringing forward. We've updated our website where we provide instruction right on our website of here is the information that we need in order to obtain these waivers. Again, this is a new environment. We are learning as well as the operators, so we don't have the answers to everything for every circumstance. And because of that, it is a bit of a deliberative process as we work with the applicants to advance their operations. I'm happy to say night operations have become almost commonplace because it was clearly understood how to comply with that. We now have CNN operating over people, and they have shown how they could safely operate an aircraft over people. And we do have some beyond line of sight operations with our partners as well.
With the indulgence of the chair, I want to ask one more question, and that regarding personnel that is equipped or ready or trained. Do you work with the universities to attract people who have an interest in the technology?
In the STEM program, of course, has national interests way beyond DOT and FAA, but Secretary Chow just announced a few weeks ago a program called Forces to Flyers, where we're going to focus on working with educational entities to bring veterans who are coming off their service to our country and getting them into...
Well, that's for veterans. I'm talking about students who understand the technology and can help FAA upgrade their knowledge.
And I don't know, Earl, if we have an active recruitment process in that area.
So I'll just build a little bit on what Mr. Elwell said. Under the direction of this committee, we have our Center of Excellence, and part of the Center of Excellence, not only is it partnering with universities, it's also included a STEM program for education.
But is it directly addressing FAA and drones?
Yes, specifically FAA and drones. It's the drone, it is the Unmanned Aircraft Systems Center of Excellence, partnering with the universities who are doing a lot of our basic research. And part of that legislation included science, math and technology learning, and we do look for them. I like hiring from them as much as I can.
I'd like to know what the names of the universities are so we can share them with the rest of the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Gentlelady yields back.